What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Sunday night's late night agenda, where we're going to go through, well, I guess we're going to pick the bones out of the game earlier, but we're also going to talk about the contract situations for the summer. And I'm not talking about Virgil, Mohamed Salah and Trent here. I'm actually talking more about players that apparently Arne Slot's getting a bit frustrated with. So we're going to work through that. We're going to ask what can we learn, if anything, or what are the positives from today's game. And anything else you guys want to go through, of course, tonight, we will do that over the next 90 minutes or so. Appreciate you guys dropping back in with me. And of course, I did promise you some news around transfer topics and stuff as well. So we're going to go through that one as well. There's no way to really sugarcoat the game earlier on. It is a sore point. It is a kick in the nuts, but it's been and it's gone. And, you know, we got to just take it in the chin and see what we can learn from it. And I think there is always things that you can learn from these situations. But like we say all the time as well, we got to be good sportsmen here as well and congratulate Plymouth on their victory. You know, they worked really hard for it. They came with a game plan and it worked. And congratulations to them. You know, nobody screwed us over today. We weren't hard done by. We lost the game of football that we didn't deserve to win. And it sucks, but we got to take it on the chin and see what we can figure out and learn from it moving forward. I think we did learn today that, you know, some of those players are probably not at the levels required yet, whether that's because of a lack of rhythm or fitness or just not good enough. I don't know. So people are talking about volume being... my mic's turned up, so yeah, my volume should be alright. If it is low, do let me know, but I can try to adjust it if needs be. So yeah, we heard Slot was happy with the squad. This shows the squad needs upgrading now. Look, it does need upgrading. I've been saying that for a long time, but I don't want to I don't want to come on here screaming and shouting tonight about stuff because we can't change it, you know. We have the squad we have between now and the end of the season, and you know, there's nothing that I can say or you can say or anybody can say that's going to change that. But we do have a concern for me at centre back, and that's if it's okay with you guys, that's where I'd like to start off the conversation tonight. Because right now at the football club, if we take out Endo, who wasn't brought into the club as a centre back, I don't even know, was he utilised as a centre back by Jurgen? I can't remember if he did or not, but we don't think of him as a centre-back, right? So we've got Endo in midfield. Outside of that, then, we've got two brilliant first-choice centre-backs in Virgil van Dijk and Ibrahim Konate, probably the best in Europe. And after that, we've got Gomez, who's now injured, or at least went off injured, and hasn't had much game time. And we've got Jarell Kwanzaa, whose form has been up and down this season. So I think we can all admit that we have a problem there, and that needs to be addressed in the summertime, because it can't be addressed any sooner. But I very much hope that we don't pick up a knock at centre-back, because I think we could probably carry it in most other positions. If you look at the attack, for instance, we sheer body-wise and numbers-wise, we have enough in attack, but an injury to Virgil or Ibu, and I get concerned for the remainder of the campaign. Don't know how you guys feel about it, but I feel like outside of every other position, that's the one where we're lacking any real depth within the squad, either numerically or talent-wise. Declan O'Toole said, Slot needs to take it on the chin. He needs to use today to push for reinforcements. So look, on today, he will have learned something from the game. You know, he will have learned that some players just aren't at the level he wanted them to be at, or maybe he learned that the depth of talent in English football through the divisions is a bit stronger than maybe he thought. You know, if that game was at Anfield, maybe he could have gotten away with the team selection today. I think I can see an argument as to how we probably would have gotten over the line at home. But when you go away from home like that and you've got, you know, a pitch you're not used to and an environment you're not used to, you know, you want some type of continuity. And we had none today. And it never looked like we were getting much better as the game went on. So I hope he looks at it and thinks, right, we need to sort something here, because I get what he's saying and I expect Arne to come out and be professional, as he always has to be as a coach. But we as fans can be a bit more blunt about it. And today showed up the real drop away from the first 15. And those who were given chances, who've been knocking on the door, your Elliots and your Chiesas, did nothing to improve their position or their likelihood to be chosen to play games moving forward. Nobody stood up there today to be counted from the fringe players. You know, you've got your youngsters, and I don't want to go in on them, the likes of Mayalba and the likes of McConnell. This wasn't a day about them. This was a day about the senior players who were supposed to shield these guys and let them settle in, not really showing up. So I've no real problems with the younger players. Some of them will make it, some of them won't. But when you've got your Diaz out there as an example, your Elliott out there, you expect a little bit more. And we didn't get it today. Diogo Jota as well was disappointing, but I guess you could make an argument that perhaps there was no ammunition, no fire coming into them, or no options coming into them. It was just a really disappointing game all around. Right, so I want to go in and talk a little bit about Trent for a second, and then I'm going to move into speaking about a piece that Sam Maguire wrote. So bear with me. So this piece here that comes in from Sports Pedo says, if Liverpool have a successful Premier League and Champions League campaign, it will convince Trent Alexander-Arnold to renew his contract. That's a bit weird. Because I'll tell you what I'm not willing to do there. Wait till all of that is sorted out. So whatever Trent is going to do, Trent is going to do. But the idea that Liverpool allow this situation to continue right to the end of the season, even after the Champions League's over and the Premier League's over, and then wait for Trent's decision, that's just silliness. He has to commit one way or the other before then, because that just feels to me like, oh yeah, I want to wait to see what we win and then I'll make up my mind. It's just buying more time for me, ladies and gentlemen, and time is the one thing I think he's had enough of, quite frankly. I don't know the offers that he has in front of him. I don't know what the club are doing, but I do know he needs to start voicing what he wants to do. So I just wanted to cover that because it was something quickly that came up in my notes that I wanted to bring to your attention. So let me know your thoughts on that one. Right, now we move into the stories from Sam Maguire. One of them is that Arne Slot has become frustrated with Luis Diaz as the season has progressed. So that's one for Anfield sector via Sam Maguire. The next one is Liverpool are plotting to overhaul their attack this summer. Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz are both expected to leave, while Diogo Jota could also be sold. Now, I've no problem tweaking the attack. I've no problem with the manager thinking a player or two needs to move on. But I struggle to figure out how we can adequately replace 2 to 3 forwards, bring in a midfielder we need, bring in a left back that we need, and bring in a centre back, renew all the contracts and get this done in one window. That's the part that I have concerns with. Because, again, the manager can make and choose, or pick and choose who he thinks are good enough and who aren't. But I don't think we get all of this done in one window. And I think it's a lot to expect to get it done, even if we do, and then have continuity of performance for next season. So I would be shocked if all 3 of those lads left the club in the summer. Absolutely shocked. I could see Darwin, absolutely. Diaz, if the right offer comes in, perhaps. But Jota on top of that, I don't know. I feel like that's probably a little step too far. But, maybe you guys think differently. Sahil said, I'm still getting messages from rivals. I mean, it is what it is. Bro, it's one of those days where we've just got to take it on the chin, don't we? I certainly know I'm not shy of messaging my mates when their teams don't do well. And, I expect the same from them to me. So, yeah, it's just one of them things, man. It sucks today, but got to take it on the chin. Haley, how are you, my friend? Said, can you wish my other half a happy birthday? Of course. Happy birthday. I don't know your name, other half, but Haley's other half, happy birthday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. If you're a Liverpool fan, well, you're probably not from the result, but either way, I hope you have a good day. And thank you, Haley, as well, for dropping in. Appreciate you. So what do we think there? Do you think there's any way that Diaz, Darwin and Jota all leave in one window? Because we don't know right now what's happening with Mo. So we're going to talk about Dejan Lovren's comments in a while, but we don't know what's happening with Mo. So there's possibility that we might need a forward there. Chiesa is not pulling up any trees at the minute, so there's a possibility we might need to look at him. And then if you throw in the other 3, we're left with Gakpo. So I just don't see it. I just don't see it being possible. I just don't see it being sensible to try and do it all in one season or one window. Not with the attack. If Mohamed Salah signs and we get that news, brilliant. Then we've got him, we've got Gakpo. You find a centre forward and you see what happens with Diaz and JOTA. Look, I'd keep Diogo around, personally. I know it's frustrating when he picks up injuries and whatnot, but I never really view him as somebody I expect to start every week anyway. I think Diogo JOTA for me is the archetypal squad player for us, and a very good one. So I'm okay with keeping him around personally, but yeah, unsure. So I want to ask you about Diaz in particular, because look, we know the situation with Darwin. We're aware that we're likely going to see Darwin moved on in the summer, but I'm a little bit surprised to hear about Diaz, to be honest. So 1 second. Okay, I'm going to give you a third option. 1 second. Right, so I'm going to ask, do you think we sell Luis Diaz in the summer? Yes, no, or unsure? We'll leave that running for a while. Because the Darwin one, look, I think it's fairly safe to say that Darwin's going to be sold in the summer. You know, from my conversations with journalists, from my understanding of the lay of the land, I think it's too far now for Darwin. I think that ship has sailed. But the Diaz one is interesting, because look at it from the club's perspective here. Diaz is on a low wage of about 65, 70 grand a week. He's got 2 more years to go on his Liverpool contract at the end of this season, which is probably the peak time to sell him if you are going to sell him. But you wouldn't have to be in a rush, because it's not going to free up a load of dough or anything like that, wage-wise. And with the amortization of his contract, again, I don't really understand exactly how that would work on the club's balance sheets, but it just feels like he'd be the least I'd be rushing out the door anyway. Ultimately, do I think Diaz is good enough? I'm on the fence about it, if I'm being honest with you. Sometimes I do. I love him on that left position. I'm not really fond of him through the centre, but he does give you something on occasion. But maybe this is more being driven from his side. I don't know. Maybe he still fancies that move to Barcelona if it's on for him, or a move over to La Liga. And look, if that's the case and the club get a number they're happy with, I would never really stand in anyone's way. Wendy said, defo sell Diaz every window as dad's trying to get him to Barca. I'd be interested to see the numbers though. So let's say we take this as fact and that Arne Slot is getting a bit frustrated with Diaz as the season goes on. I'd be interested to see what the asking price would be, because he's 28, heading for 29, I think. Correct me on that if I'm wrong. Gakpo's in incredible form at the minute on the left-hand side, scoring for fun, and certainly seems to be getting the nod on that side more than Diaz. So I think we're okay there. But then we go from having 2 very good options on the left side to 1, and I guess we'll see what happens then in the window. Ash said, where does Diaz go? PSG, Bayern, Real, all don't need him, arguably even Barcelona. So I have heard whisper of Saudi, to be honest with you. I've heard some whispers of some interest there from Saudi and Diaz, but I've no idea about whether he's open to that move or not. I haven't got a clue. Nesiksek said, the problem with selling Diaz is that the money will not be used for any replacements. See, I think it will. I do think it will. You know, I've never accused FSG of not reinvesting money that they've brought in. My issue with them has always been it's the net spend. So how much they're willing to put back in outside of sales. That's been a bugbear for me. You know, there is no excuse this summer for the club, because we've all been briefed that they've got a plan A, B, C and D. If the lads stay, the lads go. There's plans in place. So the club have built this up. The journalists have built it up. And the club have no excuses the next transfer window. It's get it right, or the fans are going to be very annoyed about it. So I don't think there is wiggle room here. They've wiggled through the last 2 transfer windows and we haven't really seen any money being spent. In fact, we've made profits. So it's not going to wash in the summer. Would you replace him with Nico Williams? I'd love Nico Williams, Dara. Love him. I did see a piece the other day that suggested that Nico Williams is now open to a move to the Premier League. Liverpool, Arsenal, and I think maybe another club were linked as being ones interested in him. I'd love him to come in, to be honest with you. Do I know for a fact that Liverpool are negotiating or anything on him? No, I don't. But he's a very talented young player, and I wouldn't say no. Do I think Endo played well today? I think he was the best Liverpool player out there. But whether that's classed as playing well or not, statistically, it shows up he has a good game. Definitely deserved the Man of the Match award from a Liverpool perspective, but I wouldn't be saying playing well. He probably played the best of a worst case scenario, or the best of a bad bunch is probably a fairer way. Since when did Diaz be considered a problem? So again, this is all based, just in case you're coming a little bit late, this is based off a piece from Sam Maguire, where he starts off initially saying Liverpool are plotting to overhaul their attack this summer. Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz are both expected to leave, while Diogo Jota could also be sold. A follow-up to that said Arne Slot has become frustrated with Luis Diaz as the season has progressed. So again, this isn't us just pulling out of our backside and going in on Luis Diaz. In fact, I even started this segment by saying I think it would be incredibly silly to move 3 forwards on in one window. But that's why we're talking about it, just in case you're coming in late and wondering. TOTT2KZ1 said Costas, Núñez, Diaz and Jota I'd sell, then bring in a left back, centre midfielder, new striker. Dance can be a backup striker, and hopefully Ben Doak stays. See, that right there would be my worst nightmare. Hoping that Dan's and Ben Doak fill the gaps of some senior players moving on. No, that wouldn't be good enough for me, mate, personally. If you're going to move on these guys, then you best have players for the here and now ready to come in and compete to be in the first team immediately. Not players you hope coming from the Championship like Ben Doak could get to the level, or players like Jayden Danns, who again hasn't played much football this season, and we don't know if this back injury is going to be a recurring thing for a while or not. It's a big leap of faith there for me to rely upon those, even allowing for, you know, some of the other positions that you've mentioned there, a left back, centre midfielder. The money should be there for those anyway. For me, the money should be there for those positions that we need, which I agree with. Left back, centre back, midfielder. That's 3 positions. And then if you move forwards on, you replace them. That's the way I look at it anyway. Given the talk, does Doak get a shot next season? Said Adam. So, I don't know if things have changed since I last got my information about Ben Doak, but I think David Lynch mentioned it on one of our live videos. He certainly said it to me. I just couldn't remember if it was on or off camera. But there wasn't much belief that he was coming back to Liverpool for a future. I was told that he was being fattened up and then he was going to be sold off. And by fattened up, I mean obviously in a farming sense. I don't mean literally. So yeah, the plan for me was I don't think he has a future at Liverpool based off what I've heard. And I was shocked when I heard it, because I think it's too early to make that decision. Yeah, so I don't know if that's changed since then, but that was my information that I was given a while back anyway. Craig, am I the only one say Chiesa played shocking today? No. I think, I think we covered it in the player ratings video. You've seen the average scores that the audience put in. Everybody felt like there was too many poor performances today, and Chiesa was one of them. Look, I can only be this blunt about these things. When we're talking about a player like Federico Chiesa or Luis Diaz or Harvey Elliott, I expect them to run rings around the likes of Plymouth. And they didn't. And that's concerning. Now, you can make an argument as to why. Maybe it's rhythm. Maybe it's a lack of minutes. But either way, Chiesa, Diaz and Elliott in particular did nothing out there today to show that they're a level and a class apart from the likes of Plymouth Argyle, who are going to get relegated down to League One. And that is an indictment of where they're at. Chiesa is an Italian international who has played football at the highest level for a long time. He was now working way back to fitness, had a full 90 against PSV, another full 90 today, and looked completely bog standard. Loads of endeavour, loads of effort, but not much craft, not much guile, not much creativity, just looked lost out there on the pitch. Diaz was running across the pitch into blind alleys. Elliott, I expect him to run rings around them. Like, we're talking about Liverpool Football Club. You want to make it at this club, you should be putting these lads to the sword and showing why you deserve to be at the club. Not hoping to scrape extra time and penalties. And that's the biggest harsh truth that I can give you, is that if I was these guys, I'd be embarrassed. I'd question myself, am I good enough to be here? If I was in their shoes with a performance like that. Because they didn't look like they had the stomach for the fight. They didn't look, well, maybe in Chiesa's case, that part isn't true, because he did work hard, but just didn't look like he had the quality or the ability to make something happen. Today was the only time Diaz played left wing without Gakpo, and he didn't look great. No one looked great at all. I'm hoping just one time thing, because I know he's a talented player. Don't know if it is just a one time thing, but I guess this fringe performance backed up the other fringe performance, and that's seen us have 2 losses. So, that plays in my mind a bit as well. The lads on the edge have been given a chance, and they've not taken it twice now. In, 2 away from home games, fair enough, but one's Champions League, one's FA Cup, and they've not shown the manager enough to show that they're going to cause him any selection headaches, have they? So, apparently Curtis Jones wasn't brought on today because he felt something. He's not injured apparently, but felt something and was carrying a niggle. Then why the hell was he in the squad? I mean, it baffles me, because we needed somebody like him today, or a Szoboszlai or a McAllister, somebody to come in and do something in midfield. And the only option that we had to come on and change midfield wasn't fit enough to come on. That makes absolutely no sense to me as a supporter. None. Do you think Darwin will start against Everton? I battled with that when I was doing my team selection for the derby, and I was sending it over to Connor, and I was doing it at my starting 11, and that was the one I really did battle with the most, because it can go one or two ways there for Darwin. He can either thrive in that hostile environment of Goodison Park, where it's going to be a game played with a lot of emotion, and if he can harness that emotion in the right way, then it could be a really good call to play him. Or does it go the other way, and does he lose his head a little bit, and does he get frustrated? So it's a difficult call, that one, for the manager. I certainly wouldn't be putting Luis Diaz through the centre again. I think it would be, for me, a call between Jota and Darwin, and then it's just a matter of what the manager thinks. Slot said Jones only felt a niggle this morning. So why put him in the squad for the game? Just, let him sit there in his tracksuit. It's just taking up a place on the bench. But yeah, look, it didn't work out well anyway, either way, did it? John said Darwin's a red card waiting to happen. So he's either a red card waiting to happen, or an absolute masterclass of a performance waiting to happen. Which one it may be, I don't know. I think Arna came with a mentality that if we lose, we lose. If we win, we win. Yeah, look, I get that as well. Look, I'm going to be honest, and I said it before the game. I'm not all that heartbroken about going out of the FA Cup. I never like to see Liverpool lose, but it's the tournament I care least about this season. So I'm not going to say I'm delighted we're out of it, but I'm certainly not fuming about it. If you ask me, would I rather draw against Everton and beat Plymouth, or lose to Plymouth and beat Everton, I'm saying I'll take the 3 points against Everton, thank you very much. But I guess it was just the manner of it that frustrated me today, because we've seen games before where, you know, we've conceded a goal, a team's defended well, but we've hammered their goal, hit the woodwork, forced the keeper to have a man of the match performance. We didn't do any of that today. We had 80% odd possession and did absolutely nothing with it. What about the people who had a 12-hour round trip, weren't impressed? Them's the breaks, Jamie. You know, for the people, look, it's not, I'm not trying to say tough shit or anything, but it is what it is, you know. They may have some brilliant away trips in Europe and some brilliant away trips in the league with memorable moments. Unfortunately, there's also going to be the other side of it where there's going to be some anticlimactical moments like today. And of course, feel for those guys who made that trip, but it is what it is. You know, we are where we are. Uwe Thompson, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC. Appreciate you. Right, I've loads more news to get through, by the way. Domino's Pizza. What a segue here, by the way. Domino's Pizza have said, after Spurs got knocked out by Aston Villa, we've sold 78,427,391 pizzas since Spurs last won a trophy. Now, look, I know we got knocked out today as well, but I do appreciate a good bit of shithousery when I see it. And well played, Domino's. I want to move on to speak about Frenkie de Jong in a second, because I want to gauge your thoughts on this one. Stargirl said, got COVID, I'm knackered, trust Liverpool to play rubbish today. I agree with you, Diaz, Case and Elliott, who I was disappointed with the most as a fan. Yeah, because they're the senior ones. You expect them to lead by example. And I also felt really bad for the young right back who came on and then was substituted off as well. Maguire, that's unlucky to be in that position. I hope he doesn't knock his confidence too much, because it's not really, I think, an indictment of him. More it was a case that we were having to go for broke and bring on another forward. Right, so we asked everyone, do you think we'll sell Diaz in the summer? It's still open if you want to vote. 3 options, yes, no, or unsure. So, De Jong. Let's talk about Frenkie de Jong for a second, because I guess we could tie this into a Diaz-Barcelona thing. Caught Offside have said Liverpool's summer transfer plans have taken a dramatic turn. After the collapse of a move for Real Sociedad's Martin Zubamendi, manager Arne Slot has now set his sights on Barcelona's Frenkie de Jong. They say that he's valued at about €35 million, or just under £30 million, by Barcelona. But the issue with de Jong was never going to be the transfer fee, it's the wages. The wages, the wages, the wages. And if he leaves Barcelona, you know, he's going to probably want more wages than we're going to be willing to offer. Unless, you know, I've missed something. I think he's the highest paid player in La Liga, if not one of the highest paid players in La Liga. So, you know, and I'd have some concerns about the injuries he's had. But maybe he's somebody that Arne Slot feels he could transform or get back to playing at the best level, much like he did with Ryan Gravenberch. I'll get a poll on de Jong in a minute. Bear with me. I just want to let this poll that I have up figure out what we think. When we get to 1,000 votes, we only have another 40 to go. Once we get them, I'll cancel that poll and then we'll go on de Jong. Jamie Doyle said he ain't worth his wages. Absolutely, bro. Like, there's no way we're paying him what he's on at Barcelona or anywhere close to it. You know, if he came to Liverpool, you'd probably expect our offer to be about 200 grand a week. And then I'll let you decide whether you think he's worth that or not. But yeah, there's no way we're going to be putting up the type of money that he's getting at Barcelona. No way. Curtis, it's your birthday today, is it? Happy birthday, my man. Oh, and Hayley was your partner. Ah, I get you. Yeah, Hayley threw in a birthday comment earlier on. But happy birthday to you, Curtis. Not great that we didn't win today, I know, bro, but happy birthday to you nonetheless. How much is he on at Barca? So, I want to say it's like 550 grand a week, euro, something like that. But I don't know off the top of my head the exact amount. But my head says something like €550,000 a week. Something mad like that. Would you take Samuel Ricci from Torino? He's a player who I'd seen linked with a couple of English clubs in January. But my concern is that, do we think as a club we don't need a midfielder? Because there was no talk in January that we just couldn't find the right midfielder. It was more a case of Gravenberg has done so well that we don't want to bring in another midfielder. And if that's the case, I'd be concerned. He's on 37 million quid a year, be the Lord. Wow. 37 million quid a year. Yeah, there's no way anyone's giving him that much. I think when he finally gets paid out of Barca and moves on, he won't be seeing that type of money again anywhere unless he goes to Saudi. And he's too good to be going to Saudi. Right, we'll end the poll because we've had over 1,000 votes. So we said, do you think we sell Luis Diaz in the summer? 54% of people have said yes, 30% said no, and the remaining percentage of 16 are unsure. So most people feel like yes, we will be selling Luis Diaz in the summer. Would you take Maxi, centre-back from Plymouth? Absolutely not. No, I would not take a Plymouth centre-back who's bottom of the championship. No, thank you very much. Craig, I sent one of your rival channels. What? I sent one of your rival channels and basically tried to challenge them to say FSG are cheap. They didn't. I'll be supporting you more. Oh, you mean you sent a super chat to one of our rival channels? Look, not for me to put words in anybody else's mouth, but I'm not surprised. I'm presuming you're talking about Red Men, but look. I'm being very careful about what I'm saying here, so sorry, bear with me a second. I can't be responsible for what others do or don't say, but what I will say is, I think enough fans now have seen through people who aren't being upfront and honest. So I've seen a lot of journalists and a lot of fan accounts who are very supportive of the owners be called out for the lack of balance. And that's what people want here, by the way. People might think maybe I'm too far one way or the other, but there's no balance in a lot of these. Like, I will sit here and praise the owners for the good stuff that they've done. You've seen me do it day after day. But I will also criticise the hell out of them when I feel they need to be. And if others don't do that, I mean, do you want my real answer? That makes me happy to hear, to some extent, because it means I'm about to mop up a load more viewers. That's the blunt answer to it. Keep burying your heads in the sand and I'll keep whooping your ass. It's as simple as that, really. But I'd rather we're all on the same page as fans. I'd rather we had journalists that put the tough questions to the club and tried to hold the club to account on things. I don't expect anybody to be toxic about anything, but if people aren't calling FSG cheap at this point, I don't think there's any turning them, to be honest with you. Because I think that the evidence is there to show that they're absolutely cheap. And that's not even up for debate. You just look at the net spend in the last 10 years and it gives you the answer. But yeah, look, if people want to bury their heads in the sand, let them. But their numbers will continue to dwindle. And they've got to understand why that's happening. John Erdinger. It was. Okay. Look, I don't want to run anybody else down. I don't know any of the guys from Red Men TV on a personal level. But all I can do is look after my own channel and say what I think needs to be said. But I appreciate your support, John. Let me say that. Thanks for the streams and laughs, said Uwe. My pleasure. I wish we had some more laughs today, but that performance was laughable, but in the wrong kind of way, unfortunately. But I appreciate your support. Thank you. Right, so let's get this poll up on De Jong. So do you want me to ask, would you take Frenkie de Jong? or do you think it's realistic that we sign Frenkie de Jong? I'd love to know which way you guys want me to word this poll. Because if I ask you, would you take him? I think more people are likely to say yes. But if I ask you, do you think it's realistic? I think that's probably more likely to get a no. So I think I'm going to go with the realistic one, because that's ultimately the question that needs to be asked. Going to give you a few different answers, actually. Hang on. One second. Right, so I've given you three answers, or three options. Do you think we sign De Jong? And first option is yes, we'll sign him. Second one is no, I don't want him. And third one is no, because of the wages. So let's try that one, because I think that gives everybody an avenue to kind of give their answer a bit more context. So for what it's worth, I think there's absolutely zero chance of Liverpool signing Frenkie de Jong, and I don't even know how they've come up with that story, to be honest with you, from caught offside. And I certainly wouldn't be standing over it and expecting Frenkie de Jong to arrive, but I wanted to see what you guys think. I'm going to move on to speak about Dejan Lovren in a second, by the way, in an interview that he's conducted, speaking about Mohamed Salah and Mohamed Salah's future. So I'm going to move on to that one in a couple of minutes. If I can ask you a little favour though, do drop a like on the stream for us if you haven't done so already. Karim said, I think it'd be a good signing, but I wouldn't pay him more than 120k a week. I haven't really been following him too much this season at Barcelona, because I've been so busy I haven't even had enough time to watch as much of La Liga as I would have wanted. So I truly don't know how he's even performing at the moment at Barcelona, or if he's getting much game time. He doesn't strike me as a Liverpool player. Again, I totally understand where you're coming from on that one. I think we'd be far more likely to try and make a move for Joshua Kimmich, as an example, than we would to go and sign Frenkie de Jong. I think there's far more chance of that happening than there would be of a Frenkie de Jong. When was the last time a Barca player came to the UK? I mean, it's happened a fair bit, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm sure, like, Firpo, or did he go directly from Sociedad? No, he went from Barca, didn't he? Or did he go back to Betis before he came to England? I'm trying to think of other ones that have come in from Barca. I'm sure there has to be a couple more that have made their way from Barca to England at some point. Even if it was in the latter part. I'm sure there'll be some more. Ansu Fati, yeah, there you go. But that was only on loan, wasn't it? Craig at least has a clear idea of who he can trust and who needs to be moved on. That's the plus side of today's performance. Yeah, Rob, I agree, mate. I agree. You know, he would have learned a lot about that performance today. And he would have learned, I guess, a bit more about English football as well. Because, you know, you come into that and you think, right, team that's bottom of the division below us, playing the team that's top of the highest division. And you would think, okay, even with changes, we'll navigate this game. But we created nothing. You know, the penalty is what it is. It was a handball, it was a penalty. And, you know, who knows if Plymouth would have scored if they didn't get that. But they did. And we didn't have a response. And that is what worries me, Rob. And I hope, as you said, that the manager learns now that, okay, maybe some of these guys aren't where we need them to be for whatever reason. Yerry Mina. Yeah, he went to Everton from Barca, I think, yeah. Some good shouts in here, by the way. Well played. Mark said, Craig, I don't understand why certain people are bashing Slot today. In Klopp's last few seasons, he rotated the squad and put youngsters into the cup games. The players themselves need to step up. I agree. Look, everybody's going to come in for some type of criticism when something like that happens today. The manager maybe, I would say, was a bit naive about the players he chose today. But I would certainly hold the players more responsible, like you've said, because they didn't perform. And it's their futures that are on the line here. You know, Arne Slot's career at Liverpool is going to be defined by this game or not, but some of these fringe players who are playing PSV and playing Plymouth today, their careers may well be defined by these performances. So, you know, they didn't take their chance. And I guess the manager can learn from that. How do I get my name in green rather than grey? They're all members, Stuart. Anybody whose name is in green, mate, is a member. So anybody who's a member of the channel, their name appears in green to me and other members. They also get use of the emojis and stuff that we have for members only. They also get a few other messages and stuff, or a few bits and pieces in the back end of it. So yeah, it's a membership thing, mate. You know, we don't have a paywall on the channel because I refuse to put one up. But the memberships and stuff like that and super chats are kind of what keeps the lights on, to be honest with you. So I really appreciate people's support. But I've always promised I will stand over it. I won't be putting a paywall up between any of our content and people. I just don't like it. I don't agree with it. Not to say it isn't good for anybody else. I just made that promise early doors on the channel, and I intend to keep it. So, look, how are you feeling about being knocked out today? Like, I mean, we've talked about a lot since I've started the stream, but how are you guys feeling about it? Are you frustrated? Not bothered? I'm kind of... Honestly, I'll be honest, I'm not really arsed. I'm disappointed in the level of performance. I'm disappointed with some of the fringe players' performances. I'm not really angry. I'm not really bitterly sad. You know, if we played against Everton midweek and lost, I promise you I'll feel it a lot more and be a lot more angry about it than perhaps today. Today just felt like we rolled the dice, not really prioritising the tournament, hoping we played well enough to get through, and we didn't. I don't think there'll be any tears spilled over it, or yeah, I don't know, maybe that's just me, but it's just, to me, this was certainly the least of the priorities. And whilst you never want your club to lose, if you had to lose a game, that would have been it. I haven't been this angry all season, said A. Wow, I think for me, the United draw was one of those moments for me that I had incredible levels of anger. We feel like parents here, don't we? I'm not disappointed. I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. You know, like parents giving out to the kids. I'm just a little bit disappointed in you. Bigger games to come, said Jaden's Fun Life. Aaron said disappointed about the quality, but not so much the result. Alex Brooks said sad. I'd rather the FA Cup than the Mickey Mouse Cup. I don't really get the difference. Genuinely, I don't get the difference between why people love one cup more and hate the other. Like, they're both kind of the same thing. You know, the FA Cup has more rounds because, you know, non-league teams are in it, but ultimately non-league teams don't go making it to the semi-finals, quarter-finals of any of these cups anyway. So for me, I like the League Cup because it gives you a chance early in the season to get a trophy, give you a chance to get young players out playing as well. And since I've supported Liverpool, I've seen us win a fair few of them, so I've always liked it. To me, I don't know, I've never felt that same connection with the FA Cup for some reason. The league above all, said Jamie Doyle. Yeah, look, this season, if you were to give me the priorities, yeah, I agree. League, Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup, that would be my priority list this season. Most other seasons, I'll be honest, and I usually say European Cup, but I'm fully on board with Mohamed Salah and anyone else who wants the league this year. The league in Arne Slot's first year will be very, very special. So let's get into these Dejan Lovren comments, shall we? Because we haven't spoke about them. Oh, Cam, how are you, bro? I want to give Cam his moment because he deserves it. One sec. Cam, how are you, sir? And congratulations on your win today, my man. Cam is, as you can see, a Plymouth fan. He's been somebody who's been in and out of a chat for many years. Always drops in, says hello. Always a very pleasant, good guy. And congratulations to you, man. You guys won today. Deservedly won today. No ill feelings from me at all, mate, towards you guys. I'm frustrated with our own performance, but you're a gent, Cam, and congratulations to you, bro. Appreciate you dropping in. And enjoy it, mate, and best of luck to you in the 5th round draw. Right, so let's get into the Dejan Lovren comments. So Dejan Lovren, friend of Mohamed Salah, reveals in an exclusive interview with Win-Win that the Egyptian king is closer, because I've reworded this because the translation wasn't close enough, is closer to leaving Liverpool than he is staying, and he said he's already thinking about the next step in his career. He confirms the club's management doesn't give Salah the respect that he deserves from what he's given to the team. Now, for what it's worth, I don't have a lot of time for Dejan Lovren and his homophobic, shitty comments and his conspiracy theories. But that doesn't mean that he hasn't got a point maybe about the respect shown towards Salah from the club, because I've warned for a long time that that's what this will come down to for Mo, is respect. You know, whether he feels that the offers the club are giving him are offers that respect where he is in world football. And I think that's a fair comment to talk about. Whether he's closer to leaving and staying or than staying, I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but I just find it inconceivable to think of the idea that the club don't give Mohamed Salah and Virgil new deals. But as each week and day goes by, I'm starting to think, shit, are we actually going to see these guys move on? Not Virgil, I think he does stay, but with Salah, I feel like it might come down to the respect thing, and with Trent, I just don't know where his head's at. Stargirl said, I have family who are half Egyptian, and knowing them could be wrong, but I can't see Salah going to Saudi. Too long to explain. I see him retiring in the USA. Again, I've no idea. You know, for me, it doesn't even matter where he may go after Liverpool. For me, it just matters about us wanting to keep him. After that, it's irrelevant to me if he goes to Saudi, America, PSG, because I'll still be annoyed that we let him go or we didn't fight hard enough to keep him. I can understand that the club would have worries about future drop-off, but he can't sort that out now. He can't sit here now and say, I'm going to be brilliant for 3 years. All he can say is he will continue to be professional, as he has been, and he's delivering at the minute. So I'm really embarrassed as a Liverpool fan that this contract situation's dragged on this long for all the lads, because something doesn't smell right about it. I just don't know what that is. Sepp Steiner, thank you, bro. Appreciate your super chat, mate. Thank you. Stephen Dunn said, if we beat the Blue Shite on Wednesday, we'll quickly forget about today's result. Keep up the brilliant content. Oh, I agree, man. I'm absolutely focused in on that Wednesday game, Stephen. And we have to win. We simply have to. Billy Lewis said, the fans will go nuts if Salah and VVD's contracts aren't done. I agree. Like, do people agree with this statement that I'm about to make? So say yes or no if you agree to this statement. Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah's contracts will come down to the club and what they offer. But Trent Alexander-Arnold's situation is one that Trent has to decide what he wants to do on. Let me know if you agree with that statement or not. Because that's how I've always felt about it. The club can very quickly sort out Virgil and Trent if they get to a number. Or Virgil and Mo, excuse me, if they get to a number. If there's a number put there, that's the issue. It's a number issue. It's a money issue. With Trent, I just don't know if it is a money issue or if he wants to be here or go. And that's why I get wound up about the Trent situation the most. Because he's not speaking. And I don't care about people saying that he wants to be respectful to the club, because I don't think this is being respectful to the club right now by not letting anybody know what's happening. Because like we've said many times, nobody needs this long to make a decision on anything. Nobody. Whether you're moving country, you're buying another house, you're changing job, you don't need 7 to 9 months to figure out what you want to do. So for me, silence isn't a good thing in this situation. You know, I've said it so many times. Even a little, I want to stay, but the numbers have to be right. And everybody gets behind Trent and starts saying to the club, pay the man. But the way it is at the minute, it just feels like we're being played. And that's how, I feel like, as a Liverpool fan, I'm being played by Trent. In that, it's playing one off against the other. And at this point, if I'm Liverpool, I'd say, here's the offer. You've got X amount of time. Decide. And if he says no, then we announce that he's leaving the club at the end of his contract because we couldn't reach an agreement. Don't even have to say where he's going if you want to be that way from Liverpool. But this game of poker can't go on indefinitely. And it's starting to become more and more tiresome to fans as we go on, because it risks the rest of the season, or it risks some losing focus, or the stadium atmosphere not being right. And so many things that we don't need. If we lose midweek, do you think the wheels could start to fall off? No, I don't. I think if we lose midweek, the pressure's going to ramp up. The media are going to jump all over it. Opposition fans are going to smell blood in the water. But I don't think internally at the club, inside the dressing room, they would feel that one loss would be the wheels falling off. But it would be a tough one to take. Be a tough defeat to take if it happened 2 seasons in a row at Goodison against a shit Everton team. So whatever else happens, we should be able to beat that Everton side if we show up and we play, because we're a far better team. Cam said, hope we can stay up now. Well, mate, if you show that fighting spirit, I don't see you be too far away, but I'm not going to say I know the inside out to the Championship, bro. I don't, but I sincerely congratulate you on today, my man, and wish you the best for the rest of the season. Question, Craig. As a goalkeeper yourself, do goalkeepers really need resting, or is it more mental rest? I mean, look, I don't feel I can speak for anybody but myself. No need of a rest. No need of a mental rest. No need of a physical rest. No need. Alisson's missed half the season, or 35% of the season. I don't see how he should need a mental rest. If it was the decision to give Kelleher game time, that's a different conversation. But no, I don't think Alisson needs a mental rest. No. I think any goalkeeper should need a mental rest. It's not that taxing of a position, especially when you're at a club like Liverpool where you can, not have a lot to do for a long time. And yes, you've got to still keep your focus, but you're not jumping up and down, taking knocks as much as maybe clubs down the other end of the league's goalkeepers. Jay says, Craig, I didn't realise you were on tonight. I hope all is good. I wasn't sure whether it was going to come on or just do a video, but I felt like we probably need to vent a little bit and have a chat. And certainly I wanted to get some real-time feedback on some of the transfer stories around Mohamed Salah, and of course the stuff around some of the players that Arne Slot apparently wants to move on. Today we got a message from Slot to the owners. The first 11 cannot compete in every competition, so help me out. Agreed. I think most of us will say our first 15, maybe 16 players are as good as anybody's. But after that, there's a big drop off and a lot of reliance on young players. And I don't like when young players get used in moments like today, because they become the scapegoat. and their careers suffer because of it. When young players are put into a team with senior pros, it's on the senior pros to lead by example and guide those young players through that game. And none of them out there today did that from a senior level. And it was worrying. It was worrying to see because there was no leadership on that pitch today, in my eyes, none. We're nearly at 1,000 votes, by the way, for the De Jong vote. So we asked, do you think we signed Frenkie de Jong based off the caught offside story? The answers are yes, we'll sign him, no, I don't want him, or no, because of the wages. So do keep voting away on that. Slot said he was happy with the squad. So I've said this a lot over the years. You cannot take everything a manager or a club says as gospel. You can't, because they can't be honest. And I don't mean that to sound like degrading, but he has to stay upbeat and he has to speak well about his players and he has to be positive about the club because he has to manage the group. So he can't come out and say everybody was shit or the players here aren't good enough. He's got a league title to try and win and a European Cup to try and win. So he can't afford the luxury of being honest in public. Behind closed doors, of course, in the dressing room, he can issue the bollockings as much as he wants. But in front of the media, he has to be the statesman and he has to front that everything's great. That's why I keep saying, don't take this stuff as gospel. Just don't. Clubs have to project this image that everything's great because it'd be very easy to jump all over them if they didn't. If he came out today, let's say, and said, well, this is clear indication that the backups aren't good enough. Immediately, that's going to be seized on by the media and the headlines are going to be Arne Slot says massive change needed. Liverpool manager feeling the heat after FA Cup defeat to Plymouth Argyle and all these other stories. So he has to do what he has to do, which is be statesmanlike. Over an hour. Right, food arrived. Ooh, enjoy, Jaden. Enjoy, my man. Enjoy it. So, I'm going to ask you a question in a minute about squad depth. And do you think the manager really thinks everything's great? Because I don't get the feeling that Slot is going to take fools or suffer fools gladly. I just don't. I think behind the scenes, he'll be ruthless. That's truly how I feel about him. I feel like he's a bit of a smiling assassin. He's very measured and calculated and doesn't really strike me as somebody who will make decisions based from an emotional perspective. I think he will weigh things up. And I think he already knows who he wants to move on in the summer and who isn't going to cut the mustard at Liverpool. Then you've got to find a selling club or a buying club and one that the player works with. And you've got to make sure all these things happen. So, yeah, big summer window ahead. And I don't for 1 second believe that he's happy with everybody at the club. I don't. Never. I don't think any manager in the history of football has ever been happy with every squad they have because they'll always feel it can be improved. Right, we only need 20 more votes and then we've got to 1,000 votes on this one. And it's fair to say it doesn't look like people believe that Frenkie de Jong is going to be arriving through the AXA training facility anytime soon. Nearly there. One more to go. Perfecto. Thank you to everybody that voted. Right, so 53% said no, we won't sign them because of the wages. 31% no, we won't sign them because I don't want them. And then 15% feel yes, Liverpool have a likely chance to sign Frenkie de Jong. So, now the question about Arne Slot. Second. One second. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to make these short enough so they can fit in. Right, so question is, do you believe that Slot is happy with his squad? Answers are yes, I believe he rates them all. No, he knows who's not good enough. Or the third option is he rates most but needs a few. I probably haven't worded that the best, but it'll give us an idea. Sorry, I probably could have worded that far better, but I apologise. I'm not sure, Muckrab, who you're replying to there, bro. So I'm going to have to push on. I'm going to move on to speak about a couple of friends. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to end this poll because it's kind of unimportant. Sorry. I think there's a better one. Sorry about that. I'm going to ask about Elliot. I'm going to ask about Elliot because I've seen far more comments about him. So apologies that I ended that last one abruptly. So, do you think we should we sell Harvey Elliott in the summer? Yes, no, or unsure? Because it's been a conversation throughout most of the season, the whole Elliott situation. Whether he gets enough game time, whether he's been unlucky with getting an injury at the start of the season, or whether he just isn't good enough. There's also been stories to suggest that Liverpool are willing to cash in. And look, I will say to you, I'm an Elliott fan, so I'm a little bit biased on this, and I've probably given him a little bit too much rope at this point. So today, days like today don't help, and I couldn't defend that performance from him, from Diaz, or from Chiesa. He just did not look a class above those Plymouth players, and that should be straightforward at this point. So for me, I don't think Elliott wants to go. I think he loves Liverpool Football Club, as we know. But do I think ultimately long term he's going to be a success here? No, I don't. I think he could be a bit part player. I think he could be an option, but I don't think he will ever force his way into a starting 11 regularly as much as I want them to. If I'm being really honest about it, I just don't think he's going to make that breakthrough because he's not a right winger. He can play in that space between the lines, but not outstandingly well. So I feel like there's no area of expertise for Elliott, if that makes sense. And I say this as somebody who really, really wants Harvey Elliott to succeed. He's a good squad player, though. Yes, but he wasn't today. And today's the day you got to win the manager over. Today's the day you got the chance and you didn't take it. Not just him, by the way. You know, others didn't take that chance today either. Chiesa didn't take the chance. Andrew said, Slot isn't a fan of Elliott. I do certainly get the feeling that he's at least not blown away by Elliott from what I've seen so far. You know, obviously at the start of the season, Elliott was really unlucky that he got an injury at a time that he may have got opportunities. But when he didn't, others stepped up. Like Curtis Jones has absolutely stepped forward at times this season. And even if it hasn't been consistently enough, he has shown that he can deliver something different. I don't think Elliott's had that moment yet. He's had a few brief, bright sparks, but I don't feel like he's really earned the manager's trust yet. I think that's the fairest way to say it. Stan said, it's tough throwing so many players who are not classed as first team and expect a high performance. I don't even think it was expecting a high performance today, Stan. I think it was a case of we just looked rudderless out there. There was no leadership. There was no direction. There was no wrestling back control of the game. And remember, like, these players like Chiesa and Elliott, you know, if they want to be at Liverpool Football Club, they should be head and shoulders above the likes of Plymouth Argyle and able to run rings around it. You know, if you dropped in Steven Gerrard into that game today, that wouldn't have happened. I would go as far as say if you put Virgil van Dijk into that team today, that wouldn't have happened. If you had a midfield with McAllister in there even, that wouldn't have happened. But it did happen today when we had a fairly senior front line, certainly at least international level, and then we did nothing. And we, you know, the young midfielders, McConnell and Leone, they weren't able to really get a grip of the game properly in midfield, but a senior pro should have been there alongside them to help them through it. And there was no leadership. And that's a worrying sign. Again, remember, I say this as an Harvey Elliott fan. You know, so don't be coming at me saying I'm trying to throw him under a bus. I am one of Harvey Elliott's biggest supporters, but I can't just bury my head in the sand. I feel like he doesn't have an area of expertise that is going to be utilised by Arna in this squad. And I feel that there's a lot more developed utility players in there that can play a host of different positions. So I feel like a best case scenario, you're talking sixth midfielder maybe. Prime YouTube said, but for real, we need a striker. That's the only problem we have. I would disagree respectfully. I think it is a problem, sir, absolutely. But centre-back depth is a huge problem, as is left-back. Robbo's come better last few weeks, and hopefully he can keep this up for the remainder of the campaign. But, you know, there has been a mixture of very bang-average performances from Robbo and a lot of rotation at left-back throughout the season. Dave said, my opinion, players are afraid to make a mistake, especially youth players. Maybe, but again, you don't get to play for Liverpool Football Club by being a bottler, do you? So you don't get to excel at this level or get to this level without having that something about you that you can show up when the pressure's on. And today, I've no problems with any of the young players out there. It's the likes of Chiesa's, Diaz, Elliott that frustrate me on days like today, because they've been around long enough, played senior football long enough, that they know the score. We didn't have a spine in the team today. Exactly, Thomas. So We need more signings. We need more strength. Craig Simpson said, spot on. I'm convinced VVD and that team today and we would have come through just for his presence, let alone quality. Absolutely. And I agree. I think one midfielder in there today, one of McAllister, Soboslai, Jones, and that performance doesn't happen either. Like, if we lost Virgil or Canade, I don't know if we win the league. That's how worried I'd be. Because Kwanzaa, I am not convinced by yet. Not by a long way. And Gomez hasn't played a lot and is now potentially injured. Did I miss a super chat? I've gone through Dave's. I've gone through Cam's. I've put in Sep's one, this one. I don't think I have missed the super chat. I think I've gone through them all, to be fair. Maybe this one I've missed, have I? Perhaps. If I did, apologise. Apologies if I missed that one. So, again, people coming in and they're not getting the context of what we're saying. Nobody's saying we should just sell Elliott. No one's saying that. The question is he going to make it? Not that we should sell him. The question is he going to be good enough? You know, today's performance isn't going to be on and end all for anything, but we're talking about the summer, and it's already been in the papers that Liverpool are considering offers for Elliott. You know, I didn't make that up. You didn't make that up. And I don't like people trying to scapegoat the chat saying, oh, you had a bad performance today. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this in big picture. And today was a part of that. We've also had polls about many other players. But again, I can say you're at Liverpool Football Club. You should be head and shoulders above Plymouth Argyle. And players like Elliott, Diaz, Chiesa should be running rings around them and showing why they're established internationals who play at World Cups and are regular Champions League performers. And we didn't. And that in itself is worrying. Because no magic there. No moments. You know, keeper didn't have to have a worldie to keep it at 1-0. We just did nothing. And that's worrying when these are your fringe players and they get their chances and they're not taking those chances. They didn't take the chances against PSV Eindhoven. They didn't take the chances today. And by chances, I mean starting positions, like game time. Their goalkeeper was awesome today and stopped 2 certain goals. I don't know what game you were watching, but the game I was watching, the goalkeeper made one decent tip-over save near the end, and I think maybe one more block. But that's it. I don't know what game you were watching though, because there was one shot on target with 75 minutes gone from us in that game today. So I don't know how he was having a worldie. JOTA save. Yeah, that's one save. That's what I said. We had 2 shots that he had to make saves in. And one of them was the one, as you said, the JOTA save. But, I mean, he made a good save. Brilliant. It's not like he was under pressure for the entire game and made 4, 5, 6 block saves. We gave him nothing to do until it got to desperation time at the end when we basically had everybody else forward. Where are we on this? Cool. Yeah, I don't know what Ellie was doing for the penalty either, by the way. That one still confuses me. I don't know why you jump with both hands up in the air like that. Yeah, that was weird, alright. Because the player was clipping over his shoulder. Absolutely no reason for Elliot to be jumping up with his arms in the air. Craig, would you be against giving Salah a multi-million-pound signing bonus? Well, he's going to be getting that one way or the other. Any of these players that whose contract are up will get a signing on bonus if they renew. 100%. So Trent would get it, Verge would get it, Mo would get it, without any doubt. It wouldn't just be a case of rolling over their their wages, they would be damn sure, because they get it elsewhere. So the club are going to have to pay them a sign-on bonus. Also, our captain and vice captain. Where's this one? There we go. Man like Spence said also, our captain and vice captain may leave. Yeah, that worries me. The contract situation worries me more than the transfer market at the minute, to be honest with you, because I can see a world where if the lads stayed and we got 1 or 2 in the summer, we could cope and find a way and build. But if you lose 2 or 3 of those lads out of the team, I just don't see how we rebuild quick enough to be competitive again next year at the top level of the league. Gamer Gene said, this is pointless. FSD don't care about winning. They're content with just being competitive. Oh, I agree with you on that, mate. I'm right with you there. You know, I've said that for seasons about them. You know, we spent a load of money when we were out of the Champions League to get back into it. And now that we've been back into it, where's the money being spent now? You would think it would be the other way, wouldn't you? You would think that when you're in the Champions League and you're making the Champions League money, you would reinvest that money and spend it. But we'd seen the season we didn't qualify. We went out there, brought in Gravenberch, Wiltoro, Endo, McAllister, spent some money to get back in the Champions League and be competitive. And now we're in there again, and all of a sudden, when it comes time to the transfer windows, nothing from the owners or Hughes and Edwards. So it's hard to argue against your point that they clearly don't really want to win. They just want that revenue stream. So I agree. Stephen Iron said, of the 3, I'm starting to think the Verge is the only one to stay. I don't know. God, I don't know, mate. I know that I want it done, though, Stephen. And I know I want to know what we're dealing with as well. Just as a fan, you know. Because if some of these guys are going and it got sprung on us at the end of the season, we wouldn't have a chance to say a proper goodbye or anything, or prepare for it. I just want to know what's happening. I don't believe for 1 second that any of these deals are too complicated. I believe that Liverpool have a decision internally, and this is going to be a case of the blame game. And who comes out on the bad side of the PR. That's what I feel about it. I think in my heart of hearts that Edwards would get rid of all of them tomorrow, because he'll feel like that there are younger, hungrier options available. But I don't know if that's true or not, because nobody says anything at the club, do they? We just keep getting told everything's great and everyone's still negotiating, and rinse and repeat. Another week goes by. Do you believe Mo and Virgil have put pen to paper? No, I don't. No, I think that's been dispelled at this point. That claim made by, I think it was Anfield Edition. You know, because if you've got Lovren coming out who's still close with Mo, and Lovren saying that Mo's closer to leaving than he is at staying, that's certainly not the contract signed, is it? Colin said, do you think Jones is now a long-term first team, or 1 season till Slot chooses his own? No, I think he's probably done enough to cement himself in as a regular first teamer. Still wouldn't be in my strongest Liverpool midfield of what we have available to us at the minute, but he would certainly be in the first 1 or 2 substitutions or rotations into midfield based off his performances. So, Jordan, here's what you're not going to do in my chat, mate. You're not going to come in and say anyone saying the FA Cup is nothing is stupid. Because I wouldn't allow anybody to come in and tell you that your opinion of rating the FA Cup is stupid. Bit more respect towards your fellow users in the chat, please, mate. You're entitled to your opinion, and clearly you're somebody who thinks the FA Cup's important. That's absolutely fine. But, you know, don't be coming in calling other people stupid just for disagreeing with you. I don't particularly care about the FA Cup. I know I'm not stupid. But, you know, people just look at things differently. For instance, I'm Irish, so the whole FA English stuff doesn't really have that big appeal to me of the FA Cup, the most prestigious, oldest cup competition in the world. I don't have that nationalistic pride of that in the same way that other people from the UK may do. But I still recognise it as a tournament, but it's not one that I have a big affinity with personally over the years. I certainly prefer the League Cup. All good, Jordan, my man. I appreciate you. All good. I appreciate you. Understand where I'm coming from, man, and thank you. Do I like basketball? No, I don't. Star girl. I don't pay any attention to the NBA or basketball in general. I think what we'll all agree on is if you're looking at trophies at the start of every season, you're putting the Champions League and the Premier League above anything else anyway. And after that, it is what it is. But those two are certainly the big two. Oh, Brett, you're very kind, bro. Thank you. Brett's come in and said, I don't really have much to contribute. Just a fan here to support. You'll never walk alone and go Chiefs. Appreciate you, Brett. Thank you. I'm going to be settling in to enjoy the Super Bowl myself, mate. When I finish my stream and done my few other bits and pieces, I'll be sitting back, feet up, and tuning in to see how it gets sorted. I mean, in a very interesting matchup there tonight. I've got a feeling the Eagles are going to win. I do. I just think they're the most complete team that I've seen. But again, when you've got Mahomes and time and the ball in his hand, you can't rule out anything. And that's what makes this incredibly interesting. And Ned Urban Sports said, just creating endless uncertainty, not sorting the contracts, no gains whatsoever. 100% agree with you, mate. 100%. No good can come of it. None. It can only cause problems. So right. Man like Spence said, I think the FA Cup is mostly liked for smaller clubs. Look, there's prestige to it. There's history and tradition to it. And, the financial benefits that it can give to some of the smaller clubs who make it through, yeah, absolutely brilliant as well. But I don't know, I'm not arsed too much about anything other than, it's not a successful season for me as a Liverpool fan unless you win a big one. So when we won the domestic cup double recently, that didn't feel like a successful season. It felt like an anticlimactic one because we lost the Champions League final and we came up short in the Prem. So I certainly didn't feel in a celebratory mood after that double. Jurgen Splurgen said, today's squad was not a gel team with enough competitive games. Slot knows without January signings they can't compete in 4 comps. Diaz has been bad for weeks. I think that's a fair comment. Yeah, certainly think it's a balanced comment and well thought out. Aaron Picard said, contracts not being sorted is way more concerning than the FA Cup. Oh, I agree. 100% agree. I won't be able to enjoy this season until I know what the contract situation is. And it definitely is 100% taking away from my enjoyment of being top of the league, taking away from my enjoyment of us finishing top of the Champions League stage, taking away some of my enjoyment of the League Cup final. I can't enjoy this season without thinking about the big elephant in the room that's sitting there in the corner, and that's the contract situation. So yeah, for me, it's ruining my fun as a fan watching the season. And I'm not saying I'm right or wrong, but that genuinely is how I feel. I need to know that these lads are going to be here or not next season. I need to know what I'm dealing with there, and then I can enjoy the rest of the season. PB, thank you. Appreciate you. We're nearly at the 1,000 votes. We have 56 more to go. And by the way, we're only 2 subscribers away from the next 100. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. And also, if you haven't dropped a like, you know what to do. If a cup doesn't matter to people, then you really can't critique players that didn't play well. Yeah, that's bullshit though, Anton. You know, two things can be right at once. You can not care about a cup competition, but also say that the players who didn't play well today haven't done their futures much good. You know? Because these are the chances that they get, Anton. You know, you might get a handful of opportunities, and, you know, how many times have we looked back and thought youngster steps in and takes this opportunity? Like Trent when Kleiny was around, or like Conor Bradley. So I don't think it's fair to say that if you don't care about the FA Cup, you can't criticise a poor performance, because the poor performances is going to go past the FA Cup. It's about whether these people are going to be good enough to play for the club or not moving forward. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from. Kevin Marshall, thank you, bro. Thank you for being with us 7 months as a member as well. Simon said, anytime I feel anger after a bad game, you help me. Thank you. Look, normally, Simon, I'm not great after a loss normally, mate. I'm certainly not one to be dishing out advice to anybody else on how to deal with it, but it definitely does feel like at the minute we have bigger fish to fry. And whether those bigger fish are a Premier League title, Champions League, or the contract situation, that's certainly, you know, bigger picture, more important to me than a one-off game today that we were just nowhere near ourselves at. So, someone said, Craig, I heard Jones didn't play because he wasn't fit to play, but then again, why was he on the bench? So I agree with you on that. Now, apparently he only felt it this morning, so he couldn't brought a replacement in. But I agree with you. Why put him on the bench if you know he's not going to play? I don't understand what benefit that serves to anybody. But, you know, it is what it is. I guess it's a matter of, well, do you have one space left on the bench that you don't fill, or do you put Jones in there? But either way, it kind of made us as fans feel like, why isn't he coming on? Because we didn't know that he felt something. So we're sitting here going, why is the manager not putting on Jones? Our midfield doesn't look itself, and we need legs in there. Why is he not looking to Jones? And then you see Trent Doherty coming on, you see Mabaya coming on at right back, and other ones like, why is he ignoring Jones? So yeah, you need the context as a fan to kind of, I guess, give a better reaction to it. Right, so I said, should we sell Harvey Elliott in the summer? 42% say yes, 39% say no, and the remaining unsure 19%. So appreciate everybody on that one. For what it's worth, I wouldn't be actively looking to move him on this summer now. I think there's certainly another year of development left to look at Elliott, and there are players in the squad that I would want to move on a lot quicker. Players like Costas, players like Darwin, players like maybe Diaz, Endo. Yeah, there are other players I think could be moved on ahead of him. Mark said, Craig, I hope you're feeling happy with things. Absolutely love you, my guy. Love your takes. No arse-licking attitude and your passion for the community. Look, I've had stuff going on in my personal life over the last few weeks that I haven't been able to talk about on here and can't really talk about. But, you know, it's been a really tough time for me. Still don't know how I feel long term. You know, I don't know what the future has in store for me, but I'm here now and I'm enjoying myself, and I hope that continues to be the way. So thank you, my man. So yeah, the reason I didn't mention Kwanzaa, because I see a couple of people in the chat are saying Kwanzaa in there. Look, I probably would move Kwanzaa on, but he at least has the age thing on his side, or the lack of a lot of first team experience on his side. But I am on the fence about Kwanzaa. I really don't know whether he will make it or not. Certainly know that if we pick up an injury now, I'm going to be nervous. If he had to play alongside Virgil or Ibu for the next 10 games, I'd feel very nervous about them. Do you think a player like Rafael from Milan would do good for us? If you could get consistency from Rafael, because the talent is there, but he's a bit of what we call, I guess, a mercurial talent. Does he show up every week? Probably not. Why that is, I don't know. But he's got the talent. How's Gizmo? He's been dead for about 18 months, maybe, unfortunately. Mark Bell said, I think it's confidence issues with Kwanzaa. I agree. It's certainly, we don't know him. We're not inside the camp, but I think it's fairly reasonable to say it feels like a confidence thing, because when things are going well, I think Kwanzaa looks okay, but when our backs are against the wall a bit, he does start to look a little bit shaky. Do you think Kimmich would be a good addition to the fit and slot system? Yeah, I think he'd be a good, versatile player to have in that can cover a couple of positions. Especially if we do feel like that's what we need and Gravenberch is the guy and you just need to give him a breather and maybe fill in a few. I think you could certainly understand Kimmich coming in if he came in. Where's the clear out news from? Sam Maguire and Anfield sector, mate. Just so those coming in a bit late, I'll happily go back over that part for you. So it initially came at a piece that said, Liverpool are plotting to overhaul their attack this summer. Darwin Núñez and Luis Diaz are both expected to leave, while Diogo Jota could also be sold. The piece was then followed on by another little segment that said, Arne Slot has become frustrated with Luis Diaz as the season has progressed. Right, look, ladies and gents, I'm going to say goodnight to you all and get settled in and get ready for the Super Bowl. We will see you tomorrow for a late night agenda at 8:45 if you're around. And of course, there will be a news video coming out in the morning time, and the preview for the Everton game is going to come out tomorrow afternoon as well. Appreciate you all jumping back on for a chat with me. Thank you to everyone that joined us. If you could just hit the like button for me before you head off, it would be much appreciated. Thank you again to Manscaped. Reminder, if you want to get yourself 20% off and free shipping, use the code Anfield20 at checkout or scan the QR code. Appreciate you all, and we'll see you tomorrow. Much love. Enjoy your